Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. It's that time of the year, and Christmas has come early, because we've got the football podcast to bring you the Christmas games. That's right, Christmas games, Christmas football. We're all here, we're all predicting games, we're all talking about last week's games. There's a lot to get through. There's a bumper edition of the football podcast, so stay tuned for that. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and like I say, share the podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Recording in progress.
Yes, indeed. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to your weekly football instalment from your lovely fellas here at the CookieCast podcast network for you. Obviously, I don't do it alone. And for those of you watching us on YouTube, you'll see four, I can't say smiling faces at you, because one face is probably a little bit more upset than the rest. But four faces on your screen, certainly more, that can't be debated. Obviously, as always, I bring to you the Middlesbrough flavour. Mr. Stuart Woodmansey brings you the whole flavour. Mr. Andrew Cook brings you just the generic
flavour.
UK flavour. Supplying
Flavour.
the Nottingham Forest flavourings. Mr. Matthew Moore, how are we doing this week, boys? Good.
All right. Yeah, very happy.
Very, very good. So, we'll start with Mr. Moore's team, as they were the first team who had a game last week. And said game was Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham Hotspur. And this was live on Sky Sports on the Friday Night Football. And didn't really pan out that well for the Forest boys. Is it fair to say?
I think it's one of the. I think as much we discuss this on a regular basis. My disdain for Spurs, but I think by their quality and how well I know they've gone through a rough patch beforehand. They're a decent side, and you kind of think hopefully we'll pick up some points against them, maybe a draw for that. But we can kind of, as we'll probably allude to in a bit, the Forest form has been absolutely shocking as well. I think Forest set up to kind of do the kind of sneak a win type thing if they could, keep it 0-0 as long as possible. To which they were doing very well until 3 minutes into injury time before half time, and everybody's favourite twat managed to head in a goal for Spurs. I mean, the cross was very good. Not a clue what the goalkeeper was doing, but Richarlison headed it in and then proceeded to just live up to his reputation and more kind of thing. And you kind of think, I know people shouldn't throw coins, and I know people shouldn't throw bottles and shouldn't throw stuff at players, but when you act the way that he did, and the way a lot of players seem to be now, it seems deliberately antagonistic, and you don't know what's being shouted from the stands, and I don't agree. Fine, fans shouldn't be saying it, but if you're going over to the opposition fans and giving it big licks like this to them, it only takes one not even completely unhinged person to throw something at you. But yeah, obviously he'd been given pelters, I've no doubt, because of the way he'd acted last season at Forest. He scored that one, and then I think midway through the second half, Forest did have a goal disallowed for Elanga being offside, along with two or three other people with him. think they'd had a few chances as well as they pushed to try and get the goal back. But then is it Kuzelewski? Kulusevski. Again, God knows what Matt Turner was doing, but it wasn't good. And I think when you've got two keepers that are all right, you've got no keepers that are all right. It's a bit like the kind of old NFL adage of, if you haven't got a good quarterback, you haven't got a quarterback. And I think Forest are in that state at the moment of Turner isn't great, and Vladimir or whatever his name is, he also is not great. It's built on the fact that the defence isn't great either, and we're currently at the position of two keepers with no confidence, and not good. So 2-0 loss, shocking defending, shocking goalkeeping. Done and dusted.
Not the greatest start to the weekend for our respective teams, sadly. From a predictions perspective, you'll all be shocked to hear that the most optimistic of us was Mr. Andrew Cook, who swanned in with a 2-0 Nottingham Forest win. So he did get the correct score in the right order. So no points from Mr. Cook there. The rest of us, just a little side note from last week's podcast, obviously Mr. Moore was unable to join us last week, did get his predictions to me in enough time that I was able to add them to the book before we recorded tonight. We had all...
With maximum points, is?
Funnily enough, predicting a 2-0 win for Tottenham.
You know that's not true.
Mr. Moore was very honest. He did send me the predictions that he had written in his book, but had sadly forgotten to take a photo of before he was at his prior engagement. So, strange enough, we had all selected a 3-1 Tottenham win. So technically, from a goal difference perspective, we were all bang on the money. But yes, sadly, no points for any of the Nottingham Forest goal scorers. Stu had Son with 2 and Johnson, so doesn't get any points. Matt had Son, Johnson and Richarlison to score, so obviously knew that said prick would notch in the game. I had Son, Richarlison and Kulusevski to score in the game, so I bagged myself 2 bonus points for the goal scorers. So 3 points for me, 2 points for Matt, 1 point for Stu. Andy, sadly, still to get off the mark. Before we move on to the second game of the week, we'll stick with Nottingham Forest as developments that happened earlier in the week dictated that particular game against Tottenham turned out to be the last game in charge for Steve Cooper, as he was relieved of his position as the Nottingham Forest manager. The position has been filled today, no less, by the ex-Wolves and Spurs and most recently Al Ittihad manager Nuno Espirito Santo. Thoughts, Matthew, or do we not have enough time left in the rest of the universe for you to get your point across this one?
I think it's. I like looking at it. Like 1 win in 13, and a good chunk of them losses. It's form that gets you sacked. I think it's quite interesting. Like, I think Gary Neville said before the Forest match on Sunday that it just seems like he's a dead man walking. It's like they're just desperate to sack him. Glenn Murray, I think, has come out today and said it basically feels like ever since he got them promoted to the Premier League, the owner's been looking at somebody else, because I think the owner doesn't see him as a Premier League manager. But I can't, I've kind of gone through it. So obviously he was made manager on the 21st of September 2021. after Houghton was sacked after losing 2-0 to Middlesbrough. Forest were bottom of the table without a win. Obviously, then they went on a run. They got them promoted via the playoffs. Kept them up last season. Got them into got them into Carabao Cup semi-finals last year. I just think it's like, I don't know. I think I was saying to you guys yesterday when the news was kind of trickling through. It's messed up the way they've treated him. Like the rumours, the constant rumours, they're getting this guy in, they're getting that guy in. They're already talking to Santos, that kind of thing. And if it was me, if I was a manager, I'd be like, well, hang on a minute, you've not even sacked the other guy yet, so why are you talking to me? I don't know how they've got another person to take the job. I know, like originally it was Lapategi, is it, who was at Wolves last year, and they had tried to have a couple of meetings with him, but he wasn't interested. Probably not, because he knows that somebody's already got the job. Like, I just think, and they come out with the statement, he's this, he's that, he's a friend of Forest forever, but you're treating him like absolute shit since the weekend. And I just think, it was getting to the point where his position was untenable. The players weren't playing for him. 1 win in 13, like I said, loads of losses, losing to sides that are around us. So fine, do that, but sack him and then sort it out afterwards. But yeah, Santos, I think it's one of them ones where you look at it and you look at his record at Wolves, and it isn't that good. It's like 42 wins, 42 wins, 48 losses, and he doesn't draw. So, whether he's been selected on the fact that we've got a lot of Latin American players that obviously speak Portuguese. He is also Portuguese. Whether that's meant to, whether he's going to help with that. But the other thing that we're saying, it's the Forest structure's absolutely messed up. So the manager or head coach has a bit of say who comes in. You've also got a director of football and a chief of scouts that have also signing players. Then you've also got the owner and his son buying passion project, like kind of, your Jesse Lingards and the Gabriel Montials and these players that you think, why have we signed them? And I think it's just this kind of, look at us, we've signed this player. And, and the fans are meant to be like, brilliant, thanks. So, we'll see. I think Forest fans are going to be shocked because I don't think he's going to play expansive football, because I don't think he played expansive football at Wolves. So it might be more of the same from last season, which might keep us up, but I don't think it's going to be flashy.
Yeah, I think when he was the manager at Wolves, I think that obviously it's no surprise to everyone that they made a lot of the signings they made were Portuguese. And I think that was mainly based around the fact that a lot of the influence came from the agent George Mendes, who obviously, I don't know if he himself is Portuguese, but he's obviously got a lot of Portuguese players in his portfolio. So I don't know if that's maybe part of the reason why he's come in, because he's not usually in control of player recruitment as much as he's basically the head coach who's given the pool of players and then told, coach them. We're not interested in who you need. We'll give you the players.
Yeah.
You coach them and get them to play the best possible way. So, what I would say is that obviously he took Wolves from mid-table championship to top 7 in the Premier League within 2 seasons. There's clearly a coach in there. It's just a case of, did it just grow a bit stale for him at Wolves, and that's why he moved on. I don't think he was ever given a fair shake at Spurs to say that he'd only just taken over and he was sacked within 3-4 months or something like that.
And there's a lot of injuries. And there's been a lot of turnover with that squad as well. And
with Jose as well, don't forget.
typical Spuds aren't spent any money either.
Yeah. So I'd say sort of reserve like judgment until you've sort of seen him for like 5-6 games or so, and like hopefully they can get the new bounce.
The main thing is that players have got to get the fingers out of their arses because they've been absolutely shocking for the past month. And the other thing is that, like I think I said to you guys before, no manager's going to do well without a 15 to 20 goal striker, and we haven't got one of those at the moment. He's currently injured. So we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to fellow podcaster alumni, Mr. James Panas, earlier on today, and he showed up. I think he said a stat where they'd flashed up Cooper's Premier League games, or maybe just his win percentages no, maybe it was his Premier League win percentage, and it was less than 20%, which in total's not really going to get you many.
It's not, but then on the flip side of that, we were a promoted side that just about stayed up last season. Obviously, it needs to get better now.
We'll move on anyway. We'll move on to the next game from last week's slate, which saw Hull City taking on Cardiff City. Now, obviously, this one took place at the MKM Stadium, so I can only presume, Mr. Woodmansey, that you were there in person to see what turned out to be quite the game.
I was, yeah. Myself, my boys, obviously Mr. Walker was there as well, shout out to Rich, but we even had my friend Gaz there as well, who I used to work at the club with many moons ago. So yeah, bit of a old boys reunion, I guess. It took place the day after Gaz's birthday, and what a delightful present he got. Possibly the most complete performance I have ever seen from any Hull City side that I have ever seen play in person. That was just... Saturday was unbelievable. From the off, right to the last minute, there wasn't a man particularly out of place. There was a period in the game in the second half where Cardiff had a little bit of the ball, but they dealt with it. They never looked in trouble. And I guess we should start with the result in the respect of Hull came away with a 3-0 win. So the first goal, team move started with an opposition goal kick. Tufan, possibly the shortest man on the pitch, won a header. Ball was passed around. Cardiff couldn't get anywhere near. Bit of exploratory passing down the left wing. Getting nowhere with that, so they stayed patient. Fed the ball out across the pitch to the right-hand side. Delap shifted it into fifth, as he usually tends to do when he gets a defender in his sights, and drilled it from the right wing across the box for Paul's favourite, Aaron Connolly, to tap in at the back post after 32 minutes. So it wasn't exactly like a lightning start, but there had been chances before that. Connolly had a ball played over the top that he took nicely around the keeper just before that, but unfortunately for Hull, one of the Cardiff defenders was alert to it and had gone to back up his keeper, so scooped it off the line from behind the keeper. So there were signs, like I say, right from the off. It was 1-0 at half time. Everything was looking kind of steady. There's always that feeling of we're going to need another just to settle the nerves, at least. And the second half came, and they just picked up exactly where they left off. Scott Twine scored a peach of a free kick on 56 minutes. Actually got one on target. It's unheard of. When we signed him on loan from Burnley, we were told about, he's a dead ball specialist, he'll score goals from free kicks. He's subsequently taken on most of the free kick duties and absolutely goosed every single one of them before this. So it's about time that came off. But the keeper had no chance. The lap again, driving at the defence, brought down a few yards outside the area, pretty central. And Scott Twine dispatched it, top left bins, straight in, no messing. And then, 2-0, thinking, right, we're comfortable now. This is the point where sometimes they might settle in, sit too deep, and they absolutely didn't. 3 minutes later, Tyler Morton played a ball from the back over the top, picking out Ozan Tufan. So just 3 minutes later on 59 minutes. Now, I would watch this goal back. I'm pretty sure I sent the goals to you boys. This one was well worth a watch in the sense of it was a great spot by Morton. Tufan is one of those players who's been really hit and miss, and it's safe to say Saturday was one of his biggest hits in the sense of his first touch was just perfectly into his own path, had a defender on his back. Keeper was then caught in no man's land as he just gently lifted it over his head and straight into the back of the net. Allsop had one save to make all game. That was it. That was it. Just great. We can't say anything else about it. It was just great. If every game was like that, then it would be amazing. Obviously it's not going to be, but more of the same, please, gentlemen.
Well, from a predictions perspective, you were the least optimistic of the bunch, as you'd gone for a 1-1 draw with goals each for Morton and Grant. Sadly, that was completely incorrect across the board. The rest of us were all much more optimistic and had gone for varying degrees of Hull City win. Myself and Mr. Cook had both gone for 1-0ers. Andy went with the lap to score. I get a bonus point because I went with Twine to score. So bonus points for me. Matt had gone for a 2-1 Hull win. So again, got the correct number of goals in the game. Sadly not in the right order. The lap and Twine, Matt had predicted to score for Hull. So he also bags himself with 2 points. So 2 points for me, 2 points for Matt. 1 point for Andy. Stu, no points in that game. Our third game of the week saw my boys in action, and it was another one of our teams versus someone from Wales. As much as we had the long trip to Swansea to contend with. I sound like this one started out quite cagey, as seems to be the want with most Borough games these days. And it took until the 43rd minute for the deadlock to be broken. The ball broke in the middle of the park for Matt Crooks to pick up just in the Swansea half. He got a ball out of his feet and just played a lovely through ball through to the left-hand edge of the box for Sam Greenwood to latch on to. Who just finished first time low across the keeper to make it 1-0 at the break to the Borough. As seems to be the case with most Borough games now, though, they were pegged back on the 59th minute. A ball was played in from the left-hand side, where Jason Lowe found himself in the box, who stooped low to head it across the goalkeeper, Senny Dieng, to make it 1 apiece. And then Borough got what turned out to be the winner in the 78th minute, in what was one of the more bizarre scenarios you'll see. A ball was just played into the box where the Swansea defender took it upon himself to just pass the ball back to the goalkeeper. Nothing wrong with that, you'd say. There is when the goalkeeper picks that ball up. So yeah, referee's whistle goes. Indirect free kick given inside the box. One of the lesser spotted phenomena in football. Morgan Rogers stood over the free kick, knowing that he couldn't shoot. He tried to roll the ball very, very slightly into the path of Sammy Silvera, who smashed the ball in at the near post to get for their second goal in the afternoon and get the win. So, very, very happy that Middlesbrough managed to hold on in the end and get the 2-1 win. Predictions-wise, Stu, again, the least optimistic had gone for a 2-2 draw. Balassi and Grimes to score for Swansea. Crooks and Greenwood to score for the Borough. Bags himself a bonus point there. The rest of us are all gone for varying degrees of Middlesbrough win. Andy, 2-0. Latte, Laugh and Rogers to score. Sadly, no points for the goal scorer, but does get himself a point for the result. Both myself and Mr. Moore, however, had gone for 2-1 Middlesbrough wins. So get ourselves 2 points there for a correct score. I had Patterson to score for Swansea, Latte, Laugh and Silvera to score for the Borough. Sadly, Mr. Moore did not have any goal scorers, Yates, Jones and Latte, Laugh. So no bonus points for him. So, 3 points for me, 2 points for Matt, a point apiece for Stu and Mr. Cook. 2 games remain in week 20. But before we go through Port Vale versus Wigan, we are just going to step away momentarily, take a quick break, and we'll be right back at you before you can say Nuno Espirito Santo.
Recording in progress.
Espirito Santo. See, I couldn't even get through it before we got back. See, told you. The break was that quick. So, our fourth game of the week took place with Andrew's team, Wigan Athletic. They were away at sort of a podcast team in Port Vale. I believe I know for a fact the first ever live game for Mr. Woodmansey took place either at or involving Port Vale. I don't know if that was you, Mr. Moore, as well.
First league game, yeah. And I had a season ticket for a year when I was 14 as well. So
there you are. So Port Vale, almost a podcast team in their own right, and they were taking on Andy's adopted team of Wigan Athletic. And it sounds like if you were there in person, this was quite the game to be in attendance for. And needless to say, Mr. Cook is no longer a Wigan Athletic supporter, as Port Vale were now 3-2 winners on this one. Port Vale went 2-0 up with goals from Chislett and Chislett again. Wigan did, however, get it back to 2-2 with goals from XZE, which I'm assuming is ZZZ, and Wyke to equalise at 2-2. Port Vale won it late with a third goal, wrapping up his hat-trick from Mr. Chislett himself. So, Wigan Athletic no longer supported and followed by Mr. Andrew Cook. He switched his allegiances to Port Vale. Well done, sir. Predictions-wise, Andy thought that his boys would do him proud here, and he went for a 1-0 Wigan win with Stones to get the goal. Sadly, no points. Stu and Matt had both gone for 1-1 draws. Stu had gone for Walters and Humphreys, whereas Matt had gone for Garrity and Humphreys. No points there for either of those two. I saw something in the cards here and had gone for a 1-0 Port Vale win with Ojo to score the goal. So, no points for goal scorer, but I do get a point for the fact that I had Port Vale down as the winning side. So a point for me, no points for anyone else. Port Vale winning that game meant that Andrew's allegiances obviously switched to Port Vale, which was quite handy, because their next game just so happened to be against Middlesbrough in the EFL Cup. And Middlesbrough ran out 3-0 winners, which means Mr. Andrew Cook is now officially a Middlesbrough FC supporter. And all that means is that we have a lot less admin to do on the podcast for at least another week or two, which, given the busy festive period, could not have worked out any better.
It's almost like we planned it. It's like, that's it. It's perfect.
Let's just thank the Valiants. To be honest with you, they did a stellar job. This one was kind of fairly straightforward right from the right from the start, to be honest with you. Borough took the lead in took the lead in the 11th minute. Johnny Howson picked up the ball in the Port Vale half, had a 1-2 with Dan Barlasser. Managed to carry the ball just to the edge of the box and hit what was, I'm assuming, a hopeful shot from his perspective, which took a massive deflection over the defender and just completely looped over the keeper, who just so happened to be Connor Ripley, an ex-Middlesbrough Academy graduate who was playing for Port Vale. So don't think there was any question that he'd let the ball in. He was definitely taken completely out of the game by the deflection on the Howson shot. 1 became 2 after 23 minutes when Morgan Rogers found the back of the net. He seemed to find quite a lot of goals in this competition. He's been a healthy goal scorer in the League Cup for the Borough this season. Sam Silvera won the ball back on the right-hand side, worked the ball into the box, and then a lovely little pick out from sort of his peripheral vision saw Morgan Rogers coming onto the ball from deep. So laid the ball back to the edge of the box for Morgan Rogers, who just side foot past the goalkeeper. It was 2-0 at the break, and the game was wrapped up in the 53rd minute when Matt Crooks notched. Again, Morgan Rogers playing little balls in and around the sort of the box for the Borough. He got the ball into his feet, slipped a little through ball round the corner for Crooks to latch onto, and then just fire past the goalkeeper to make it 3-0. And that's where the scoring finished. So, we had all predicted a Middlesbrough win in this one, so we each get at least 1 point. Stuart gone for a 2-1 Borough win with Rogers and Barlasser to score, so gets himself a bonus point there. Myself and Matt had both gone for 3-1 wins. I had Coburn, Barlasser and Rogers to score. Matt had Jones, Latte Laugh and Crooks to score. So we both get a bonus point for the goal scorer there as well. Mr. Cook, however, straight on the money. 3-0 Middlesbrough win. 2 points for that. However, he only had Rogers as a goal scorer, Latte Laugh and Silvera with his other 2 goal scorers. So does get himself a bonus point for the goal scorer as well as 2 points for the correct score. So that means that rounding out the week with 4 points from 5 games, Mr. Stuart Woodmansey. 5 points from 5 games, Mr. Andrew Cook. 8 points from 5 games, very respectable for Mr. Matthew Moore. But taking the week with a whopping 11 points from the 5 possible games, it is myself. I'm very happy about it. I am too. So, week 20, done and dusted. We're going to bring to you now week 21's predictions. And oh my, there are quite a lot of games in week 21 because, in case you've been living under a rock, we're about to enter a rather busy period over the next couple of weeks. So we have games this Saturday. In fact, I tell a lie, we have a game on Friday that starts us off. Bristol City taking on Hull City. And even though this is a Friday fixture, it is not on television, which is incredibly Scrooge-like of Sky Sports. How dare they schedule this game and not give us the televisual feast that it is. Obviously, it's Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will give his prediction last. I'll jump straight in here, as tends to be my want. I've gone for a 1-1 draw on this one. I've gone for Mehmeti to score for Bristol, Tufan to score for Hull. I'll come to Andy second to last, as technically it could be argued that this is sort of Andy's home game. So I'll come to Matt next for his prediction.
I've gone for a 2-1 Hull win.
Ooh, lovely. Your Bristol City goal scorer, please.
Conway. Oh yeah, that clap wasn't for Conway, that was dog.
And your Hull goal scorer?
The Lap and Twine.
Go on, Andy. You might have to explain to the people why Bristol City is sort of a home game for you.
Because there was a point in time where it was your firm belief that I was from Bristol. And
Yep, I completely misheard you talking about you growing up somewhere. I was like, oh, Bristol? And you were like, absolutely not. But I was utterly convinced that it was. Great story.
It's that strong Bristolian accent you've got, Andy.
Say.
Go on, Andy. Tell us your prediction.
It's a 0-1 for Stu's boys putting my boys to the sword with Delap to score a goal.
Go on then, Stu. Tell us how it's going to go.
For you, Paul, there is absolutely no way Tufan is scoring 3 games on the spin. So you can get that chalked off your list straight out of the I have gone for a 1-1 draw, however, but I have gone for Gardner-Hickman and Delap, because if he hasn't scored by the time that New Year's Day rolls around, I'll be very surprised. He makes a lot of goals, but he does also chip as well. So he's made plenty of goals in the last few games, but it's got to be his turn now, surely.
Yeah. I mean, he did get one in the Borough game. To be fair, it's not as if he's like, you know, thirsting for goals after his on-game drought.
Yeah, but he's also the listed, A-listed striker, so he should be there or thereabouts every other game in my mind.
Very, very true. Our second game of the week sees us move to Saturday's slate of games, and the first game sees Nottingham Forest taking on Bournemouth in Nuno Espirito Santo's first game in charge. Obviously, it's Mr. Muller's team. He'll give his prediction last. Let's go to Andy to see what Andy's got down for Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth.
So, I'm thinking new manager, got to bed it in, but also you want to see that new manager, new car smell effect. So I've gone with a 1-1 draw.
Honestly, couldn't work out which way you were going with that. Didn't know whether you were going to go for like a draw or an 8-0 win or something like that.
No, just a 1-1 draw. Just get a goal, but obviously there's an adjustment period. So I've got Wood scoring for Forest.
Just to clarify there, Andy said he's got Wood.
And I will show it for money if that's of interest to anybody. It's that time of year when things get real expensive. And I've got Solanke to score for Bournemouth. By the way, if anybody's interested, Bournemouth, good website. You can have points, additional points for website.
Obviously, they put all of their money.
Stadium.
I was just going to say they obviously put all their money into their website, not into their stadium.
The irony of it being called the Vitality as well. Come on.
This is of course a game between two teams who had to call off a game because their stadium couldn't hack the elements that were being thrown at it. Of course,
they're going to build it. Have you heard they're going to build a new stadium right next to the current stadium? Do you want to guess what the capacity's going to be?
20-something?
Oh, way too high.
Oh no.
18,500 seat stadium. I mean,
have some ambition, for God's sake.
There was literally no club for miles. Like Bournemouth is. There's nobody nearby. Yes. 18,500 seater stadium. Ooh, you and your lofty ambitions, pushing the boat out. They'll just build that on the seas, right there. It's right there.
Get them back in the third division. Stu, what have you got for this one?
I have gone for a Forest 1, Bournemouth 2.
Oh no. No new manager bounce at all.
In fairness to myself, I had done these predictions before, that news today, and I thought, do I switch or do I not? And I thought, no, screw it, go with it, because then I would be happier if Forest didn't lose on Matt's behalf. So obviously there'll be a bit of lingering in my mind from the fact that Bournemouth spanked Man United at Old Trafford not so long back. So they'll probably be riding that like Seabiscuit and until they get their asses handed to them themselves by some other team. But yeah, I've got Elanga for Forest. Mr. Cook will be happy to hear I also have Solanke and Cook. Mr. Cook had Solanke, and I have Cook and Solanke.
Oh, Lewis Cook. I was trying to work it out. I was like, it's Cook. I thought he left, but that would have been
Andy's not pulling his boots on, is he? Come on.
No.
He's too busy playing for Bradford.
We don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes.
Too busy playing for Bradford.
That is true, actually. I've gone for the stereotypical new manager bounce. I've gone for a 1-0 Forest win with Gibbs White to get the goal. Matt, how do you think this will pan out for your new boys and your new manager?
I've gone for a 2-2 draw. Because talk about when you kind of think, oh, God, piss off. What does Bournemouth's manager call it? Chaos ball or something like that? They play chaos ball. I'm like, that sounds like not a fucking clue what you're doing ball. But, kind of... so I've got, Forest 2, Bournemouth 2. Hopefully they'll just be, so there's that level of bounce, bit of kind of, I don't know, hopefully thingy. So I've gone for Wood and Gibbs White for Forest, and Solanke and Billing for Bournemouth, because he seems to always score against Forest, Billing.
Phil Bill, as I understand he goes by colloquially in the Bournemouth area. Our third game of the week sees not just my team, but Mr. Cook's team as well. Middlesbrough taking on West Bromwich Albion, which will forever go down as the Williams Derby. Ooh. Bit of beef with the in-laws. Ooh. It'll definitely be hilarious when they absolutely win. But enough about what potentially might be coming down the line with my prediction. Let's go to Matt for his prediction.
I've gone for a 1-1 draw to give it all sweetness and light in the Williams household for Christmas.
Sensible. Scorers?
Greenwood and Swift.
Andrew?
I've got just 1-0 to our collective team.
Goal scorer?
Silvera.
Nice. Like it. Stu?
You should know by now, this far into the equation, that, as the old adage goes, happy wife, happy life. 1-0 West Brom with Wallace to score.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I honestly think, had I not told her that this was the game on Saturday, she would have had zero idea that this was the game that was taking place.
Oh, so but you say that, but now this will be the one game that she's looked for the result in the last 6 months, and should West Brom happen to win, then yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's definitely more a case of happy father-in-law, happy life for this particular weekend, as he's the one who tends to actually care more about the baggies than anyone else really in the family. And sadly, I think that he will be the happier of the two of us, as I have also gone for a 2-1 West Brom win. Injuries are absolutely kicking our arse at the minute. I sent her through a picture to these boys earlier on that showed a Middlesbrough team of 14 players currently out injured in the first team. One of which is, of course, the goalkeeper, who was injured towards the end of the game against Swansea. Something that I'd completely forgotten to mention in the breakdown of the game. They also had 3 players come off injured last night in the game against Port Vale. So the injury list just keeps adding, growing and growing. I've gone for Greenwood to score for the Borough. You're forgetting, lads, old boy rule in effect on this one. Alex Mauer is back in the West Brom side and he's getting games. So I've gone for him to score. And I have also gone for Swift to score, in line with Mr. Moore's prediction. That's the weekend games. We now move to Boxing Day's games. Obviously, Boxing Day over here, a very popular footballing day. There are 3 games in total, all taking place on the 26th of December. And the first one of those is Newcastle United versus Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Mr. Moore's team, so he will give his prediction last. I do have a question for him, though. Will he be in attendance at this game?
No, because tickets are rocking horse shit would be the kind of not a cat and house chance of getting them in the Forest End, and of course, glory hunters that they are. Everyone's jumped back on that black and white striped zebra pulled bandwagon.
Is that because once they've been to so many games, they can get Carabao Cup semi-final? Oh, wait a minute.
That's probably why a lot of them did buy tickets though for this, because they were like, I've got to get my points up ready when we get the Carabao final ticket. The 12:30 kick-off on Amazon Television, though, Amazon Prime TV.
Well, there you go. Live, all country. I'll jump in then. I'll go with my prediction. I've gone for a 1-1 draw on this one. I reckon Forest might have enough to get something. Newcastle, another team that is getting absolutely kicked in the arse by injuries at the moment. So they might not even be able to cobble together actual first team players. They might have to be relying on the youth team at this point. So I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I have put the old boy rule into effect on both sides. I've gone for Lascelles to score for Newcastle and Wood to score for Forest. Yes, Stu, what have you gone for this one?
I have no idea who is injured for Newcastle. I mean, there is a chance that, from what I've seen of them recently, if Kieran Trippier is playing, Forest could score as many times as he touches the ball. I, too, have gone for a 1-1 draw. I have gone for Gordon, if he's not injured.
No, I think he's fine.
Mainly because I cannot stand him, and he's playing against one of our teams. And Gibbs White.
Andrew?
I've gone with new manager bounce kind of system, so I've now gone to 0-2.
2 goals and a clean sheet. Nice.
I think we'd all take that.
Once again, I've got Wood and Hudson Odoi.
Ooh. Sneaky. I like it. Go on then, Matt. You're not going to be there in person, but you will be able to watch on the Prime. How do you see it panning out?
I've got a Newcastle 2-1 win.
Not very festive. Goal scorers?
I've got Wilson and Lascelles for Newcastle. And Wood for Forest.
Very nice, but also very not nice. Second to last game sees the only one of our teams that's actually at home on Boxing Day. So I dare say this will mean you'll be in attendance.
Yes, sir.
Lovely stuff for Hull City versus Sunderland. Let's go to Andy for the prediction on this one first.
It might not be Christmas anymore, but Hull are still going to be delivering the presents. It's a 2-0 win. The dilapidator And your favourite Hull player, Connolly, to score.
Hilarious. I've gone for a 2-1 Hull win. I've gone for Twine and Slater to score for Hull. Bellingham to notch one for Sland. Matt, what have you gone for on Hull versus Sunderland?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Connolly and Clark.
Ah, yes. Fingers crossed that'll be Jack Clark's final contribution for Sunderland this season. Hopefully someone will come in and snap him up and he will stop scoring. Stu, how do you see it playing out for your boys?
I've got 2-2.
Ooh.
So I've gone for Morton and Slater for Hull. And I've gone for Clark and Ekwah for Sunderland.
EKWH?
Yes.
Oh no, I've literally just spelled it out and then written the wrong thing in the book. What a complete fact.
But the best part is, nobody could see that, but you've still grassed yourself up.
If I haven't got my honesty, what do I have? I certainly don't have my integrity.
So, well, says the man who didn't fix the points this week, but you know.
Oh, that's something that I've noticed. Since when did it become agreed that the go-to sort of celebration in football was shushing? It seems to be the most popular goal celebration at the moment, and I don't think that's gone unnoticed.
Because all footballers got the mental age of a 5-year-old.
That is true. The best response that I saw to that was when Sam Greenwood scored against Norwich and gave it that, and filmed from the Norwich stand, you heard some guy just go, "We're already quiet."
Love it.
Sorry. Enjoyed that a little bit too much. So, our Boxing Day festivities are rounded out by mine and Andy's boys, Middlesbrough, travelling to the New York Stadium. No. We are staying in the UK, however, as that is Rotherham United's home ground. So, let's go to Stu for first dibs on Rotherham versus Middlesbrough.
Rotherham 0, Middlesbrough 2.
Goal scorers, please.
Greenwood, and by some Christmas miracle, that the fitness fairy will have delivered Latte Laugh back into the starting lineup, and have gone for him to score the second.
So, personally, I believe he was withdrawn from the game against Port Vale with an eye for getting him at least fit for Boxing Day at the very latest, but probably more likely that he would be fit for this Saturday coming. So I don't think it's within the realms of possibility that he'll miss both. I would imagine he will start at least this game. Matt?
I've gone for a 2-1 Borough win. Oh no, yeah, I have, yes. I've gone for Silvera and Greenwood for your good selves. Because I know you hate him. Eves for Rotherham.
Oh God!
He scored last weekend.
I did notice that. I actually watched the championship highlights, and he scored against Plymouth, and I'm just thinking, oh Christ Almighty, that big tall lump of shite.
Anyway, Matt, you've done it wrong. As every Hull fan will tell you, I think it's pronounced Eves as he enters the pitch.
Do you know what? As there is boys, I'm going to give Andy the privilege of going last on this one. I'll jump in. I've gone also for a 2-0 Borough win. I agree with Stuart. I think that Latte Laugh will be back in the fold on this one, so I've gone for him to score. And Jones as well. I think he will also be back fit, hopefully, for this one. So go on then, Mr. Cook. To round us out for the end of our, what will be sort of the run-up to Christmas edition, what have you got for Rotherham versus our lads?
Rotherham 0, Middlesbrough 1. Just a cheeky, simple goal from Rodgers.
Lovely. Rodgers, another one who was taken off with a bit of a knock in the game against Fort Vale. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Was that 7 games or 6?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 games for your week 21 slot. Starting with Bristol City Hull and ending with Rotherham versus Middlesbrough on Boxing Day. Thank you very much. Obviously, to end the podcast, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. Obviously, in the Sports Personality of the Year ceremony that was from last night, for the second year running, a women's footballer won the award. Mary Earps picking up the award, and very well deserved it was as well. She was a major part of the England Lionesses getting all the way to the World Cup final. She even saved a penalty in the World Cup final as well, but sadly they weren't able to get over the line in the end. It's the 3rd year in a row that a woman has won the award, which is the first time that's happened since the 1960s. And it just shows a bit more of a progression that women's football is starting to get the credit it deserves, which is very nice. And then sadly, obviously...
Fortunately, though, you're forgetting, Paul, that Nike have said that they won't be releasing a replica shirt of what she was wearing last night for at least another 3 months.
Well, that's just terrible.
Incredibly... That was an outfit. You probably get all the shots.
Yeah, you might be able to see a little bit more of that on Miss Earps' OnlyFans account. But the less we say about that, the better. So, and then obviously...
All right, Joey Barton and Piers Morgan, Jesus.
Oh, dearie me. Please don't tar me with those particular brushes. And then on a more serious note, obviously the serious medical issue that happened in the Luton Bournemouth game with the Luton captain Tom Lockyer suffering a suspected cardiac arrest on the pitch. Obviously the game was stopped immediately and medical attention was given to Lockyer. It's the second time it's happened to him within the space of just about 6 months. Obviously he collapsed in the playoff final when Luton went on to win the game and obviously get promotion to the Premier League. So you don't want to speculate, but you would imagine that we've probably seen him play his last game as a professional. Obviously, the main thing for him to now is to focus on getting healthy and getting himself back to a position where he can enjoy his life rather than just thinking about football. And it's one of those situations where the first person that was on the scene was an opposition player. Even though the ball was still in play, obviously, the game was going on, and Philip Billing just ran straight over to Lockyer to make sure he was, there was someone there to check on him and things like that. And I thought that was quite a sort of a heartwarming thing to see, really. That there wasn't, he didn't see an opportunity to sort of gain an advantage. He saw a fellow human being struggling, and his first thought was to go straight to him and make sure he could do all that he could to see if he could help the situation.
Do you know what's not quite so heartwarming? The fact that earlier it was announced that even though that game was 65 minutes through, it will be replayed in full. Imagine what those two teams are going to be feeling when they meet up again, because that must be like... It's almost like something will be hanging over that game. It's weird.
Yeah, not good. It's one of the things where sadly it's becoming more and more frequent. These players coming up with these medical conditions, and it's in a strange sort of scenario. It's kind of good that it happens in the scenario that it does, because if he was just out for a run and the situation happened, God knows what may have occurred. So obviously he got the medical attention that he needed. I think the update that was given was that he was awake and things when he got taken to the hospital. And like we said, fingers crossed, hopefully he makes a full recovery, and then in the summer he can reassess what he wants to do with his career and his life moving forward. But yeah, just something that sort of we probably needed to touch on, really. Other than that, that brings us to the end of another week, and obviously this is the last time we'll come to you before Christmas. So on behalf of myself and the rest of the lads here at the podcast, we'd just like to wish you all a very merry, festive period. Hopefully you all have a lovely time. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, have a lovely time, and we'll see you next week for another instalment of the football podcast. But for now, it's tatty bye from all of us. We'll see you next week.
There you go, what do you think to that? A bumper edition of the football podcast to get you nicely up to date going into Christmas. Oh, Christmas football. Delicious. Almost as delicious as that Christmas dinner. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website. It's thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one, and that is it for nearly this year. Hope you all have had a fantastic Christmas, and we'll catch you just before New Year. Until then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.